So here's where I'm currently at with my AC in my tiny toy hauler. My, I guess, first attempt at cabinet building, and it was actually a lot more enjoyable. I thought it would be annoying and tedious, but I had a lot of fun actually kind of whipping this together. So I had some, I think it was like a 1x4 piece of pine that I just set my table saw to 3/4 inch and ran it through a couple of times to get a whole bunch of these little pieces. And so I cut these two, the front, you know, the four corners, and then the top and the bottom, which would be also four of them. And then I glued them together, and I just had a screw in here holding them while the glue cured. I built both of the sides, and then I glued some of this. This is the stuff I'm using for the exterior. It's underlayment, I believe, but it's like hardboard or hardwood or something like that. I glued it to the side, and then I just used my Harbor Air brad nailer to nail it on with these little staples to staple it on. And I also glued that, so that's solid. Once you skin the outside, it really makes it rugged. I leveled it up, and I glued and screwed it to the floor also. I've just got two little screws there holding it. And then I set both of the sides up and got them balanced. Not balanced, I'm sorry, level. And then I measured so they'd be square from the wall. And then I just put this piece on here, same thing. I glued it, and then I ran some screws through the side to hold it all together while the glue cured. And then I have the same thing here in the back. The difference is this one in the back is also run. I got a stud going along the top side here. So the one in the back is actually also screwed to the wall and screwed in from both sides. So what I got is a solid little cabinet. And then I've got this piece of foam board that I'll set in here. I got it already measured and cut. I have it off because I'm recording and because I'm working in there. And then I just threw some drywall screws to hold it up, to suspend it so it doesn't fall down and land on the AC. I still need to put some more of this wall board or this underlayment on the top here, and then this will become kind of like a little work surface, you know, a shelf or whatever to set stuff down. Now my bed is going to be framed. I'm glad I got this done because it's helping me visualize where the bed's going to go. I kept having a hard time trying to imagine how high it's going to go. The bed's going to sit on top of this by a little over halfway, and then come out here to the back and then screw it at the back wall. I'm going to do the same thing here, build another cabinet for that outside access. But what I did here also, I guess I could have made this a little bit shorter. It's pretty close to how short it could be, but if it was a little bit shorter, I'd have had a little more meat for these pan heads. So this AC, in another video I showed you, I riv nutted the bottom of this, and then I put this little bracket in, so from the bottom I could run a bolt up to hold it in place. But it's also kind of designed to be held in a window, so it needed some additional support. I was just picturing bouncing down the road and having this thing jostling around. So I rigged up this AC unit had some you know, from the factory, a little deal that's supposed to come here and stick up to the window, which wasn't in the right spot. So this is just a piece of 2-inch, I don't know what this stuff's called. It's 14 gauge. It's not angle iron. It's like rolled. But I had some scrap of that, so I just rough cut it and estimated. I just kind of set it here and figured where those holes were and punched them, and then drilled those out. Again, there were already self-tapped holes through this sheet metal on this AC unit, so I could use the factory screws that this thing came with for the sides, but these two were a little off, and so I used a pan head just to kind of waller it out a little bit, and it seems stout. And then on this front, what I did was I just took my angle grinder and I notched the top, since it was so close to the bottom of this here that I couldn't drill a hole, or else I'd just be screwing into the bottom grain here. So I pre-drilled, and amazingly enough, none of those stripped out since I pre-drilled it, and it's still in there nice and stout. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, before I put this top piece on, I'm probably gonna go ahead and get however I'm gonna frame the front of this. And then I just want it to screw in this way. And the reason is because if I ever have to change out this AC unit, I can just take those screws out, take this, and then access the whole thing. Take those screws out, take the two from the bottom, and then the whole thing will just slide out this way. So I'm gonna frame out the front of this, and then I will put my board on top that's gonna extend out over that framing. I won't staple or glue it to that front framing so that I could still remove the front framing, but that way it covers up that transition, and my little desk space would be a little bit neater, I guess, and cleaner. So that's where I'm at with the AC unit so far. And here is the nearly finished product. I've done a lot of work in here since I recorded that first half of the video, but there is insulation also in the front here. I cut little strips that fit snug in there. There's my screws I was talking about. So this whole front piece can come off by just taking those 7 screws out, taking this out, and then taking those 2 from underneath. I just crawl underneath the camper, take those 2 out. This whole thing will then slide out and can be replaced if it needs to be. To seal around here, I used, this is just some backer rod that I've had for a long time. Normally what you use backer rod for is to fill behind where you're going to caulk so that you don't have to use as much caulk to fill a gap, but it's foam and it's somewhat compressible, and so I just used a putty knife and tucked it away in there, and it looks like it worked out really well. The power cord comes out this side of the AC unit, and I did not put power behind this box. Hopefully I don't regret that decision. But since this is real tight up against the floor, I was actually able to push it underneath, and then that's going to plug into that plug right there. I painted the top of this. This has been glued down. Hopefully that's a good idea. I bought a couple of different types of paint to experiment with, and that's what I put there, so we're gonna see how that works. The bed is actually gonna sit on top of this anyway, so only a little bit of this is gonna be exposed. Now, you may look at these white lines here and wonder what did I do? So I had pictured that there would be tape that I could use to fill these seams. And so I have screw heads and whatnot, you know, in some of these spots, like up here on my ceiling, I've got a lot of them right up through there. I had pictured that there would be some kind of a tape that looks similar to this that I would just roll out and be done with it. Well, I bought some tape and I stuck it on there, and it didn't look, I mean, it was the only stuff I could find that somewhat resembled what I had, and it was totally off. It looked terrible. So what I've got here is what I would call a middle school art project. I just used masking tape to go up around this, and then I took a paintbrush and I used chalk style paint to try to see if I could, you know, somehow get some kind of a texture. I don't know if you can kind of tell there is a little bit of a texture to that, but it's not good, but it's not bad. This was really bad before. I was kind of nervous about what I was going to do, and that's what I ended up doing. I'm still trying to debate if I should just paint the entire, this would be the front-facing wall, white, just to not have to worry about it. But now I'm still going to end up having a lot of other seams that I'm going to have to figure something out with. I'm not sure. If you've got any ideas, please share them. So I just don't know. I may wait and kind of let the idea marinate for a while and see what I decide. Not trying to get off topic. I've done a lot since I first did this the AC video, but this is where the bed's gonna go. I'm still, that's what I'm currently working on, is framing up the bed, just so I can get some visualization, and then I can frame out the little cubby that this is gonna be in. The cabinet's gonna go in this corner. That's gonna hold the EcoFlow and all the wiring junction boxes and whatnot. These are light strips that are on 3/4 inch by 1/16 inch angle aluminum that I bought at Tractor Supply. I really like how that turned out. It gave me indirect LED lighting. If you guys know, a lot of times when you have those LED fixtures that are in the ceiling, they're blinding, and you go up to them and you're like, I'm gonna turn the light off. But you're just sitting there staring at a light. your pupils are like adjusting while you're trying to see it, and then you finally find it and flip it off. I don't know. They're annoying. That's what my other camper has, and I don't like it. So I really like indirect lighting, especially when it's LEDs. It doesn't blind you to look around, yet there's still plenty of like diffused light. You're not lighting one, you know, putting all your light in one spot. It's nice and diffused. So anyway, that's where I'm at so far. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that video was helpful to somebody. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing.